welcome to the rebirth of the Diaries. It's been an awful long while since I've done one of these. I think it was August 2018 the last time I filmed a diary piece for this channel. And that's pretty much because most of last winter was spent decorating, redoing carpets, refitting bathrooms, no end of bits and pieces we had to do around our new home after we bought it in October of that year. So there wasn't an awful lot of fishing done. From sort of end of March, early April onwards, I did start fishing over at Barway for the cats. I don't know if any of you kept up with my Facebook page or my Instagram page, but you'll have seen a few of the pictures and bits and pieces from on there. Most of my fishing last year was just doing that, in all honesty. I did a little bit of carp fishing right at the end, but my main focus was on the catfish last year. Something a bit new and different to me. I'd never really done a lot of catfishing before. I'd had odd ones on carp gear, but I never really felt like I'd targeted them specifically. I did have a week's holiday over on the Ebro in Spain with my dad years and years ago, but that was a guided trip, so again I didn't really feel like I'd actually fished myself for them, if that makes sense. We did have a bit of success out there though. I had one of 113, I think it was. My dad had one that was, it was either 101 or 103. I can't quite remember now. But it was a great week, and the power that you feel from them is something that's just never really left me. And when the opportunity of a ticket over at Barway came up, and I fancied something a little bit different anyway. I've carp fished for years and years and years, and I still enjoy it. I still get a bit of a buzz when I catch a few fish, but every now and then I just feel like having a bit of a change. And the catfishing offered that to me. And with Barway being a relative unknown, we knew there were cats in there. We didn't really know how many there were, and we didn't really know how big they got either. So it was pretty much a start on a blank canvas right the way across, you know, with me and my knowledge base, and also what I was fishing for. Obviously I knew bits and pieces that I could put into the catfishing through my carp fishing, through the pike fishing, and kind of put it all together along with speaking to a few of the guys from Catmaster as well. I did have a reasonable amount of success. I enjoyed last year. I had quite a few fish. It started off rather slowly, to be fair. Both me and Adam, we both started fishing pretty much using pellets and boilies, just on a bit of a larger scale to keep the carp away. And although I did have one 37-pounder on the pellet and boilie early on, I felt like I should have been getting more. I didn't feel overly confident in the method. And you know, as when you've been around fishing for a while, you just know when something isn't quite right, and you're not getting the results that, not that I'd say that you deserve, but that you should be getting. And then I spoke to a guy called David Morris, who works for Catmaster, and he sent me on one of their rattling dumbbells. Live baits was something that I had intended to give a go in the warmer months over there. My sort of thinking was early on that while they were still quite dormant and moving around slowly, then perhaps bait was a better option when they weren't up and active and chasing fish about. But as soon as I switched over to the live baits, and this was still quite early on, bearing in mind it was quite a chilly start to last year. It was probably mid-April, I should imagine, mid to late April. And the first night I used the live baits with the rattling dumbbell that David had sent me, I had a 57.3 I also lost one that night as well, about an hour previous. And this really sort of gave me a bit of a kick. You know, I knew that something had obviously changed. The tactics had worked. And for the next time I went down there, all but one of my rods were on the live baits. And after that following week, and yet more success, all 3 rods got switched over to the live baits, and we never looked back really. And looking back now, it all makes sense, to be fair, because there's not really enough bait going into Barway to sustain the carp, let alone sustain large catfish as well. So it's, I say, it all kind of makes sense that their food source, their natural food source that they're living off, has got to be the live fish. There's nothing really else in there for them to sustain themselves on. And the rest of the summer, it seemed to go by in a flash, to be fair, after that. Every time we were going down, we were having good success on the catfish. I had another couple of fish over the 50-pound mark. A few other of the people on there, they had plenty of fish as well. But that 57, that second fish that I had, was the biggest one out of the year. One of the other guys, Jason, he had the same fish as well, bang on 57 pound. But that was it. So we sort of ended the year happy, but I also felt like there was something more to be had there. I lost a very big fish a couple of times. The first time I was by myself, right in the middle of a really heavy rainstorm. It was very, very windy as well, and this fish I hooked was just something completely different to everything else that I'd had on over there. So it sort of kited out to the edge of the island, and I managed to follow it up the bank, managed to get it turned, and then it just ploughed down between the centre of the 2 islands, kept going and going, and I ended up having to basically clamp down on the reel with my hand, and give it everything I got before it got out the other side, because the last thing I wanted was it getting through the islands and kiting either way. But unfortunately, as I did that, the hook pulled. And I had a similar occurrence when I was down there with Adam one day as well. He was fishing just up to the right of me, probably about 20-30 yards away. I actually had the take off of the same spot. I hit into it and it felt a decent fish, and then all of a sudden it just woke up, and it went and it went, and it did not want to stop. And again, I sort of followed it as far as I could, but knowing Adam's lines were there, I just had to clamp down. And yeah, same thing, the hook pulled out, unfortunately. But it's given me something to go back for this spring. So from probably April onwards, I'll be heading back over there with a view to hopefully landing whatever that was that I'd hooked a couple of times. But yeah, other than Barway, I had a week's trip down to Churchwood Lakes in Essex, on their cat lake, which I've also got a video up of on here. So if you're interested in watching that, you'll be able to find that on here. And then I did a little bit of carp fishing, basically when the nights got too long and I was running out of light in the evenings to go and catch the live baits. I needed an alternative, so I had 3 overnighters on the little day ticket lake that I'd fished the summer previous, and I was actually using some new bait, some of Tom White's gear, Pure Bait Concepts. He gave me some of the amino ester to try, and as soon as I opened the bag, smelt it, it just filled me with confidence. And I know Tom wouldn't put crap bait out there, so you got confidence from that straight away, knowing that Tom is a very good angler and he's not going to make bait that he's not happy using himself. First time out on that, I had a 32, and the second time I used it, I unfortunately lost a fish. It felt like a very big fish, that one as well, but that's just the way it goes. But yeah, that sort of gave me a bit of confidence, gave me a little bit of a buzz for the carp fishing back end of the year, and I shall try and get over there end of March, early April, depending on what the weather's like. Once the pike fishing's finished, to have another little crack before the catfishing starts again. Anyway, you join me now. As you can probably see, I'm sat in my car on the side of the road. I've got my little tablet here with me, with Netflix loaded up on it, ready to watch a film tonight. I shall have a bit of a kip, and then it's up early in the morning for a bit of pike fishing. This is the first time I've been out with the deadbait rods for a fair few years now. Done plenty of lure fishing and a little bit of live bait fishing for them as well, but haven't done any proper pike fishing for a while, so I'm quite looking forward to dawn getting here, getting the deadbait rods out, and fingers crossed having a pike or two. So I'm going to go watch my film, have a bit of sleep, and I'll see you in the morning. I've been here, had the rods in the water for about 5 minutes of this one, the twitchy little take, but off the marks, probably 14 to 15 pound, I'd say, something like that. Fingers crossed that there'll be a few more this afternoon. Just get a couple of photos of it, get her back, and get the rod back in the water. I was just in the middle of taking the photos that sort of low to mid double I just had, and yeah, this one absolutely melted off. Ended up having to put the net back together while I still had this one on, because the other one was still in the net. Managed to coax that one back in while this one was still there. Got this one in, just weighed her, she's gone 20 pound 3, so I'm well made up. Right, get a few photos of this one, hopefully the other rod will stay where it is, and I'll get myself sorted again, because I'm absolutely knackered. Second 20 of the day, £20.5. This one's gone. Got bounces bigger than that one earlier. It's absolutely destroyed my line, so I'm going to get a couple of pictures of this one, get packed away.